Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. I'm Lauren Milojevic. I am the Director of Marketing and Business Development at Simplify Solutions. And today we are so excited to have our new VP of Platform and Technology, Eric Blondin. He will be discussing and demoing the topic, should you consider moving from SAP BO to SAP Analytics Cloud? Please feel free to reach out to Eric or myself after the webinar with any questions. And now I will hand it over to Eric. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. So good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, actually, to some of you, I noticed. So before we start, let me introduce myself a little bit for the ones who do not know me. So myself, I've been in the BI field for over 20 years, most of it probably on business warehouse, on the SAP technologies, and business objects, actually, before I jumped onto the business warehouse side of things. I was actually a business objects specialist before that was even SAP, so that was quite interesting. And now, in the last 5 years, the moment the new versions of Analytics Cloud came out with another name, obviously, started working on it, and now we're able to really discuss with you today what are the steps you could do to go over to Analytics Cloud, and or would you rather keep business objects on premise? So this is really the core of our conversation today. So first, I'm going to introduce a Simplify modernization program. Okay. So modernization is how to help you go into optimizing your BI with either BO, Analytics Cloud, or both. What are your conversion options? So let's say you want to go to Analytics Cloud, but you have a lot of investments on business objects. What should you do? What should you think of? And maybe you should stay with business objects. Maybe that's really what you need. And for some of you, that will be the answer. And then next steps, how can we help you go through that transition, evaluating the transition, what are the best options? Okay, so this is pretty much the agenda we have for the next hour. Hopefully I'll have a little bit of time to answer some questions towards the end. It all depends on how fast I am in my presentation today. Also, hopefully everything will stay quiet. I know it's a crazy time these days. In my case, I discovered a door would have been useful at my office, but still, we'll be able to manage something quite interesting today. Do not hesitate to send questions. As I said, I'll try to answer them at the end, or I'll get back to you after the event, pretty much as Lauren said in the introduction. First of all, one thing to keep in mind, from an SAP perspective, SAP Analytics Cloud is now the strategic direction for all analytics. So if you have a new requirement, if you're evaluating new requirements in the field of analytics in an SAP landscape, clearly SAP Analytics Cloud is what you should be looking at. Okay, and if you implement cloud solutions, if it's not already there, Analytics Cloud will slowly become the default BI solution embedded into your cloud solution. So we're talking SuccessFactors, Ariba, Hybris, Concur, S/4HANA Cloud, all of these solutions will have an embedded SAP Analytics Cloud. So by default, it's going to be there and it's going to be seamlessly integrated. Business objects, which has been there, we could almost say forever, will also be still supported by SAP. Right now, BI 4.3, so the latest release, is coming out in Q2. If you look at the calendar, we are in Q2. So this is really coming out very soon. From what I heard through the grapevine, that's going to be pretty much somewhere like mid-June. That's going to be available. I'll also bring up very quickly, I was part of the beta for 4.3, so I was able to test a lot of functionalities, but beta is over now, and general availability is not yet out. So I won't be able to log on to a 4.3 platform today, but I'll have some screenshots, and I'm going to talk about some of the experiences we had. Okay, but once you go to 4.3, right now, SAP is committed to at least supporting it till 2027. And obviously, that doesn't mean it won't continue. It's just the release that's coming out this year, it's supported at least till 2027. And obviously, SAP will keep on investing in improving their integration between Analytics Cloud, which is the new direction, strategic direction SAP is taking, and business objects, which has been implemented at so many customer premises that you can't just ignore it. You need to improve interoperability between the two. That was a tough word. Still, now, the SAP Business Objects modernization. So a lot of you, most probably, have tried implementing BI self-service solutions over past years. BI self-service has been a very popular theme through years and years. Everyone is a solution for it. And I know at SAP, initially it was dashboard design, or you may even have known it as Excelsius. Then Design Studio came out, which really enabled IT to develop a nice solution that could become somewhat self-service. And then finally we got Lumira, which was supposed to really be the end user solution that people could use. All of those obviously right now are no longer part of the strategic direction SAP is taking. So that's why we're talking about Analytics Cloud. In some cases, maybe your on-premise solution is not the way you want to go. Your company maybe has decided, let's put everything in the cloud. We are not an IT company. We shouldn't have servers. We shouldn't maintain any of that, service packs and all of this. This is not our business. So let's go to the cloud. And in this context, SAP Analytics Cloud really fits into that kind of a scenario. Also, if we're talking about SAP Business Objects, if you've invested a lot in it, well, some of the solutions you may have invested in are approaching end of support or are no longer going to evolve, are not going to help you improve over the next few years. Here again, we're talking about dashboard design or Excelsius and Explorer, which dates way back. It's always been a great solution that SAP had. That was always kind of a little standalone tool that was nice, but never really integrated into anything else. But both of those, Dashboard Design Explorer and this year, that actually comes up because Flash from Adobe is ending support, and these two are based on Flash. So end of this year, these two solutions are no longer supported by SAP. So if you invested a lot in those, you may want to look into Analytics Cloud for your next step. Analysis for OLAP in Business Objects. If you use that to connect to BW, this is still supported, but you may have noticed it hasn't really evolved in years. It's still going to be there in 4.3. But if you want to go further, get a better integration and actually a better look and feel, it looks like it came out a few years ago. It hasn't evolved even in look and feel. Lumira, right now, that's still supported, still coming out in 4.3, but after 2022, and that's for the designer portion, there are some releases to stabilize it, optimize it, but no real new functionalities. And after 2022, both of these solutions will be supported as part of 4.3, but you will not see anything new. So, and then BO 4.2 itself, still supported till 2022. So you see the link here. So Lumira will evolve as long as BO 4.2 is still supported, but after that, it's only going to be in maintenance in 4.3. And we'll see after that, after 2027, what's the plan for this tool as well. So with Simplify's Business Objects Modernization Program, we will help you evaluate, is SAP Analytics Cloud for you? Is Business Objects 4.3 for you? You've used Analysis for Office. How does that fit in all of this? So we'll really help you identify key areas to drive value within your business and really leverage what you've invested in and what can really be carried over to the new versions or a new solution. Okay, and this is really what we'll be going through today. So with BI Analytics Cloud, you really can extend or replace planning, an analytics solution with the Robert's modern functionality available in Analytics Cloud. And one thing I really want to call out to two of my colleagues, John and Beth, if you go on our website, you'll actually see a recording of some great webinars they've done over the past few weeks around the subject of planning. Today, I'll only be looking at analytics, but if you really are figuring out, okay, how could I do some planning in Analytics Cloud? We have done some great webinars, and Simplify has great content you really could capitalize on and build a solution that will help you improve your financial planning, among other subjects. And obviously, some of the embedded predictive functionalities, some of you may have heard Predictive Analytics that was kind of combined with Lumira in the past. Well, in Analytics Cloud, we go way further than that, and you really can capitalize on those predictive functionalities that will really help you get value out of your data. And once it's implemented, really self-service solution to all your users. It's so seamless, it's easy to use, it's easy to build dashboards. I'm going to show you a few elements on the solution itself over the next few minutes. So, should you convert your current solution, or do you maintain your business objects and maybe invest a little bit in Analytics Cloud? This is the two options you have. So, if you don't have highly formatted reports, if you haven't invested heavily in designing things, you're just accessing data and building some basic reports in Analytics Cloud, Business Objects, sorry, you may want to go directly to Analytics Cloud for all your analytics and operational reporting. You can convert your dashboards. So I talked about those technologies that are slowly being phased out. So if you only have some of those, you may want to convert that. And if you've invested a lot in web intelligence or Crystal reports, we can help you also do a fit gap analysis between what you've done in Business Objects and what Analytics Cloud, or SAC, as I'll say often, can do for you in this context. All those, you have obviously some hosting fees, or actually some cloud hosting fees. So you get a membership on Analytics Cloud, and then after that, it's all consulting, and we really can help you minimize this cost so you can get a value where your users will see what this brings to them. And that's the other subject, and that's some of you have done very intense investments on Business Objects will most probably look at this one. And there are some interesting options also from a licensing perspective that I'll discuss towards the end of this presentation. So, excuse me. So you can upgrade to BO 4.3, some very seamless. If you've done previous Business Objects upgrades, this is probably the most seamless upgrade I've ever seen. I've upgraded BO 4.2 to 4.3 platform. It was really next, done, and things worked quite nicely. And in this context, since you're keeping what you already have, you won't have an additional SAP licensing. Then you can implement Analytics Cloud in parallel, and Analytics Cloud can take advantage of what you have on your platform. So there are some tight integrations I'll talk about later that will enable you to first switch your dashboards. This one, you really don't have a choice. If you have important dashboards you need to maintain, you'll need to slowly convert them to Analytics Cloud over the next 2 years. And you can retool some reports to see, in some cases, maybe it works better in Analytics Cloud. In some cases, you may want to keep it in Business Objects because Analytics Cloud, once again, doesn't do everything you can do in Business Objects. Business Objects is still a very strong enterprise reporting platform, and in some cases, it's the best you'll have for quite a few years. For some of its core functions, I don't see Business Objects disappearing in short term and even midterm. So now, dashboard excelsis. This may remind you some things. So if you go in the past, dashboard design, what it was known for, very nice dashboards. It was, as the old name implies, it was embedded with Excel. So you really could build macros behind it. It was very interactive. Now you'd want to bring it to Analytics Cloud, which is not embedded in Excel. You can bring data in Excel from Analytics Cloud, but you don't have a real embedded solution as of yet. But if you do have some solutions, let me go quickly here, just to refresh in case my page timed out, so we don't get timeout errors as I bring in my information. So if you just have an Excel file, you want to start formatting it, you can just bring it in. Right now, I could do a lot of formatting and transformation rules on this file, but now I'm just going to bring it over. And I'm going to let Analytics Cloud do all the job, where I'm bringing all this sales data. It's importing my Excel file. It's going to bring it in there, and I'm going to be able to start building my dashboard right away. So for now, it's really from a self-service perspective. I want to do a dashboard on an Excel spreadsheet, and I just don't want it to be complicated. So I just brought in that file. I have it in here. And over the next few slides, actually, I'm going to go through analyzing the information that's in here. And this is all what was available into your Excel file. So we'll build a dashboard over the next few slides. So bear with me. Next one, Explorer. This is the other one I talked about. You may recognize this if you've used it, and you may even recognize it compared to the screen I was just into. When I imported my Excel file, this is the default window I got. So the big advantage earlier I mentioned, Explorer was kind of a standalone tool in Business Objects. Now it's really part of the solution. It's actually core. So if I was just to click on total revenue, what do I have here? So lots of revenue, but actually that's because I have dates going back to 2010. So obviously I may want to restrict that. But for now, let's go see, I want North America. So what are my sales in North America? US, Canada, Greenland, Mexico. So these are my actual revenues. And I can go by order date. Right now it's total because it's a hierarchy. And I could drill down into it, and now I'll have it by year. And I can really see how my sales are going. And from that moment, well, I could keep it like this, or actually copy it to a new story and start building the dashboard that we discussed earlier. So this is my chart. You can go put a title there. Let me go back here. So first, I needed a kind of a self-service, somewhat Excel integrated solution. Now I have Explorer, which enables me to dig down into the data, and these charts, I can actually bring them over. Analysis OLAP, I won't go into it, but this is analysis OLAP. So you plug into to business BW, Business Warehouse, you bring in your data, you can start doing your analysis, or you can do it in Analytics Cloud, which has a very similar rows, columns, you have all your information, you can start playing with it. And once again, same interface. It's all in one tool. You can actually start playing it, you recognize it, and it's a modernized platform. It actually reuses a lot of the functionalities you'll see through all the other reports we'll be using. And Lumira. So in Lumira, it can look nice. You can do really nice dashboards, or you can go in SAC, which is now the future. And one of the big advantages of SAC on top of doing nice dashboards, which a lot of tools do today, admittedly, is the fact that once you have this platform, you don't need to, oh, I need to plan a service pack. I need to plan an update. I need to plan this. Oh, that new functionality. Oh, it's not available. Okay, so when can IT do this update? Oh, I need to update the Windows version because it's not supported. All of this, it's in the cloud. You don't need to bother with. And that's one of the challenge a lot of business objects customers have when new functionalities came out. That was a challenge we had with Lumira. Every time there was a new functionality, you had to plan an update on your server, and maybe something wasn't compatible with it, and it was always complicated. With Analytics Cloud, typically you'll get quarterly updates. So once every quarter, you'll get an email explaining to you what's new in that new version. Over a weekend, there's an update, and then on a Monday, you have all those new functionalities. So these come out, it makes it very simpler. So here in this case, I had this chart, and let me just continue. Let's imagine, okay, now I actually want to go and look at my 2017 data, and I don't want the order date on the chart. I actually want it by item type. So I can have this information right here, and I'm able to really start analyzing the information and include that one on that same dashboard I did earlier. So I just copied it, and in this case, I'm actually going to bring it to the right. I didn't want it the same spot. I want it below the title. Here you go. So you're still able to customize it and really organize it the way you want. Put your titles and everything. And you really, as an end user, you have a whole lot of flexibility as to how you want to build this dashboard. Once you've put it here, you also have a lot of visualizations options. So you really can define how you want this chart to look, how you want to organize it, and then publish it to most of your users. Okay. In our context, I'm actually going to, some of you may have seen some videos I've been doing online recently, where I kind of just brought in John Hopkins COVID-19 data. So this is pretty much another dashboard I worked on, and this is really something that we can then use as part of a dashboard that it was where we really integrated multiple charts to really track different information we're using. And then, yeah, Analytics Cloud, which pretty much integrates all of this. So that's nice, that's Analytics Cloud. But the main subject we had today was really business objects. So we've all seen demos of Analytics Cloud, so I don't want to spend too much time showing you the details without referring back to what business objects actually does. And what do we mean when we say a hybrid solution when we implement this new Analytics Cloud with business objects? So first of all, I mentioned earlier that you do not have Excel integration. That's actually not entirely true. There's a beta actually right now that's ending where you get an Excel add-on where you can integrate that into any version of Excel. So if you've been like me for the past few years, I was on an Apple device, so a Mac. So I had Excel, but I couldn't use Analysis for Office. So that was a pain. So I had my Windows virtual machine on my second computer, and anytime I wanted to do Excel-based analysis on BW on S4, I needed to open my virtual machine, do my analysis there. Now SAP is strongly working on building Microsoft Office 365 version, which is actually based in the Microsoft Store. So, excuse me, you do not need to have IT install it or anything. You just go into Microsoft Cloud. Right now, the beta is actually ending tomorrow, and we should have general availability announcements. Normally, we should have that by the end of maybe early next week. We should, according to the dates SAP gave. So May 18th is the date I have where we should get some more information about general availability. So this is actually an Excel add-on which enables you to log on to Analytics Cloud and do your analysis. Right now, it's only Analytics Cloud information, but the roadmap is very well. You can see that the roadmap is very ambitious. Sorry, I was searching for my word. So it's very ambitious. A lot of integration. There's a planning side of as well they're working on, so that we can really start typing in our plan data, which is going to move back into Analytics Cloud. So you're really going to be able to use this Excel add-on as the Excel embedded version of Analytics Cloud, which will enable you to do a lot of on-premise functionalities on your computer, or even in your, as I mentioned at the beginning here, this is Excel Online. So it even works in your web-based Excel version. So look for that next week. Let's hope general availability is not too far in the future. Augmented Analytics. This one is interesting because if you're on business objects, you build reports. You can do nice dashboards, but you're quite limited in terms of predictive, in terms of machine learning, even language queries. These are things that are not seamlessly done into business objects, whereas in Analytics Cloud, this really comes standard. So if I come here, let me ask a question. Let's see how many confirmed COVID in New York. So I have the state. I also have some other information. So I'm actually going to make sure it uses a state by date. So I'm just asking. The system will go look at what information is available somewhere in my platform, and it pretty much brings me back this data. And earlier I was copying, so I copied this one. I'm actually going to bring this one back into the dashboard I've been working on for the past few minutes. So here it is. So whoops, my copy didn't work exactly. Okay, let's not debug that tool. So you have it here, at least you have it there, and you can start working on it and investigating it even further. Okay. What's interesting as well is as you ask more questions, it's going to keep track of all the questions you had, so you can always come back to the little charts that were generated as you were building it. Okay. Then This is for conversational. You can also do automated. I won't be doing it today, but yeah, there's a lot of demos. This is what's called smart discovery. You may have seen some videos on it, pretty much all over the place. And this really enables you, if you don't know what's in your data, you really don't know if there are trends, if there's outliers, any interesting information, you just ask it to do smart discovery, and it's going to look at your data set, and it's going to build you a dashboard by default. And predictive. So predictive, I know, is used just in so many ways nowadays, but predictive is really what's the trend, where things are going. So what's it available really in Analytics Cloud in terms of predictive? Because we hear predictive used in so many sources. So this case here, we can see that my cases are going up, but really, what does it mean? So if I click on this one, I can add a forecast, and here it's automatic forecast. Okay, so what is that? Automatic forecast. So if you're a data scientist on the line here, you're wondering, okay, yeah, so that's a little thing that I don't know what it's doing. It's giving me some data. But in some cases, we're just trying to see if there's a trend. Is there seasonality? And can you show it to me on a chart? And this is really what the automated forecast does. It's actually going to look, is it going up? Is it going down? So very straightforward trend. Is there some seasonality? Is there a cycle in there? Cycle could be every 2 weeks, could be every quarter, could be every year. Sales go up at Christmas every year, and you have 10 years worth of data. It's going to find that trend, that cycle, and it's going to take it into account as it tries to forecast. If you approach Christmas, it knows that at Christmas every year it goes up, so it's going to take it into account. So very interesting. Again, if you're a data scientist, you're probably not impressed, figuring, yeah, okay, but I want to see how has it been configured? How is it giving me exactly what I want? For these people who really want to go with more, have more control on what's being done. So you have two basic ones that are integrated here. Linear regression, very straightforward. You know, you have those dots, and it's going to set up a line that tries to fit within those dots as most efficiently as possible. So if I look here, this next window, this is what a linear regression works. So you have your dots, and you have a line. So yes, it can help. You can literally see a trend. But in our context here, this is not, we know it's going up, so maybe that's not what we want. The other option we have here, triple exponential smoothing. So if you're wondering what is triple exponential smoothing, I won't go into all the math behind it today. That's not, none of you, I think, registered for math class. But what it really, see it as weighted average, where it's, once again, it's going to look for cycles if there are any. We're looking at COVID confirmed cases right now. So obviously there's no cycle. It's been going up. That's pretty much all we know. So it won't find a cycle. So it's going to create a weighted average where it's going to give more importance to recent events compared to older events. So if at some point it starts to flatten the curve a bit more in the US, well, it's going to realize it's flattening. So you'll actually see flattening and maybe even going down the moment it kind of expects that recent data shows it may be going down soon. So that can be interesting in these cases. But again, it's just looking at statistics. It doesn't have any additional information. And that's where, in some cases, you may want to go even further. And that's where Analytics Cloud gives you a lot of functionalities where you can actually go and create predictive scenarios. So predictive scenarios is where you can put a lot more parameters, where you can use linear regression, time series, where it's also, you're going to be able to define, do you know the cycles? Do you know the seasons this goes into? Or classification, where you can define all your parameters. Because statistics, a lot of time, we imagine it as something, the system will give me the answer. But no, you need to have analyzed your data and input some information that the statistical models will use, and then train themselves so that you're able to really get some insights as to where the data is going. The system, until it knows everything, that's where machine learning can come in. But even then, you need to give it some input. And which brings me back to this one here, Where this one, you've all seen it, doesn't look as nice as the other ones. Actually, this is called R Language 101. So I won't call myself a data scientist, but what we have here is really what some basic R coding, and people who know R, they can actually capitalize on their knowledge here and go even further into implementing it into Analytics Cloud. So if I go here, I won't spend too much time in here. I don't want to scare too many people off. But if I was to go here, I've selected my model, so the same model I was using before, and some filters. And now I'm actually going to go and look at the R script I have, and I can even expand it. And very basic coding, you have it here. You're able to see your data set. So anyone who's coded in R, this is actually an R development environment that's embedded into Analytics Cloud. So yeah, you have your model. You know that you have a date, and you tell them this is the date you're going to want to use. You're then going to plot defs against date. So this is what we see here: the date, the defs going up slowly against the dates out of my COVID new model. Then I'm going to do a linear regression model based on this same information. And then I'm going to plot that line from a linear regression directly on the same chart, put it blue. So obviously this is basic R, but anyone who knows R and really wants to capitalize on all the information they have in Analytics Cloud, they can just embed it here. Nothing to install. This console you're looking at, where I'm scripting, testing, and previewing the information, this is all part of Analytics Cloud with no additional install required. You could decide to have your own R server and capitalize on it, but then that means you're already comfortable with R and you can go even further. But if you're not, honestly, there are so many samples on the web, and we can help you understand how you can capitalize on your data with some real deep predictive capabilities, or more automated predictive capabilities as the ones you've seen in the menus, depending on where you want to go and what's your requirement. Honestly, if you're not too comfortable with these, start with the automated ones in the platform. They'll really help you understand your data, really see what's in there. And then if you feel I need to be able to work that data a bit more, then you can start playing with R. And R has so many different charts. This one is not the nicest one. This is one of the basic ones in Analytics Cloud, but there's so many different ones you can embed in here that then you can reuse. And if it's the chart you didn't find in Analytics Cloud, you can include it because it's part of the R libraries. So very interesting stuff for people who really want to go into Analytics. One thing I actually forgot earlier, I talked about Smart Discovery. I also wanted to talk to you about Smart Insight. In some cases, you're seeing some values and you're just wondering, okay, is there some important information? Is there something standing out of this data we're looking at here? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add Smart Insights to this little KPI where I see confirmed cases, deaths. You see my data is updated as of May 3rd. And here what we see is the top geolocation in the US is New York City. Well, sadly, we are not surprised. We've all heard the news on that, but still the insight actually brings it to us. So you can imagine it on your financial results. What's bringing down your actuals? What's bringing up your actuals? What's the big change that happened over the past few months in your actual sales? So these are all insights that come up and that the system can really give you by default. And you can go and see more, and it's actually going to just give you a window on the right that's going to show you. There you go, small delay. Different information, additional insights that come out of this, and it really enables you to drill down. So actually, sadly, we see here Cook County in Illinois, which is where Simplify is based, is the second one with the biggest number of cases after New York City. But then New York State, as we can see, has a few extra ones. Okay, so this is my first webinar, so it's quite funny. Every time I finish saying something, I'm just gonna ask if anyone has questions, but no one's really replying. So I'm gonna look, if you typed in questions, I'm gonna go have a look at it in a few minutes, okay? So now you go to business objects. You have a new modern user experience. And actually, if you look at it, they've worked so that it looks a bit like Analytics Cloud. It will not contain the 4.2 BI Launchpad. So if you've liked that Launchpad for years, and this is actually annoying, didn't realize it would play the whole time. 4.2 BI Launchpad is gone. It's all going to be Fiori based. If you've looked at the Fiori Launchpad in 4.2, it has nothing to do with it. It's so much improved, and they've made sure it has full functional parity. That was one of the big drawbacks of the Fiori Launchpad in 4.2. Lots of the functionalities weren't there. You always had to go back to that Launchpad. You have some scheduling publication enhancements. So that's one thing where Analytics Cloud is not going to be catching up on Business Objects soon, is the whole publication side. Some of you may have heard in the Q2 release that's, I think, coming out this weekend for Analytics Cloud, scheduling is now in there for all of you. And scheduling is actually quite well done. You have your dashboard, you go in here, and obviously I'm in design mode. So let's get out of design. So I can all go here. So why can't I? Obviously, it's always during a demo you get those. Let's reload. Oh, I'm just realized why. Anyways, so I should be able now to schedule my publication. So probably timed out while I was working. So I just refreshed, dashboard opens, schedule my publication, and I'm going to get a window where I'm now able to select what's my title, when do I want it to be scheduled, subject, do I want to include a link to the story, and who do I want to send it to. And with a story view, it's going to be a PDF, and I could add different views. I could customize what is being sent, and if I have prompts, change them, could put users, but that's scheduling. If you have business objects, you're also doing some publications. What are publications? These are where you can define that user, I want him to have data from that store only. That other user, I want him to have data from that other store. So, and you can integrate security with that publications in SAP Business Objects. Whereas Analytics Cloud, well, you can distribute it as PDF attachments or just including a link, and that's pretty much it. So you will not get some advanced criteria that are available in Business Objects. Maybe that's most probably something coming up, but right now this is not going to be what's available. So once I've scheduled this, I did it earlier, I have it here, I get my PDF, preview file, and you get the different pages. These are the 3 tabs I have in my dashboard. So I'm able to have that really well done in a PDF, and I'm really able to use it, or I can go and follow the link that was sent to me. When you follow that link, you'll actually get that dashboard. And what's nice about this here is that this view is really for end users. You don't have all the design menus at the top. So it's not crowded with buttons and all. It's really full page dashboard with your different tabs. And if you want to change prompts, if there are prompts, if you want to change filters, and if you have bookmarks, you can use them right here so that you can either save bookmarks to what you've done or open existing bookmarks that weren't in the email you received. Okay, so that's really BI Launchpad. So once you have this, if you look at it, looks very similar to the homepage you get if I go home in Analytics Cloud, and you're able to have all of this here, and you're able to customize it with your questions, but you have your information here. And what's interesting as well, some of you may have seen Analytics Hub. Now with the latest release that's coming out next week, well, in the next few weeks, I don't know exactly when your Analytics Cloud tenant will be updated. You have the catalog that's now embedded and where you can link your different dashboards. And these can be business objects documents as well. So you're able to have external content on other BI platforms or SAP Analytics Cloud all in one spot. So your users do not have to go all over the place to figure out what they want, and they can define their own favorites once they've done that, so they can really have a look at it and start playing with it. So here, this is a bit of the content Simplify is built around planning today that's available right there. and web intelligence. So I said earlier, really, the one tool that's keep on evolving and that's really core to business objects and scheduling. There's Crystal Reports. Crystal Reports is really IT oriented solution that really enables pixel perfect reporting. It's probably still the top reporting tool on the market, but today people are not looking for pure reporting. Yes, they want some nice reports, but they don't need to go too much into details on pixel perfect, and that's where Webby has been really covering that requirement for years. And what you'll have in 4.3 is that Webby has been updated from the look and feel perspective. So Java's gone. So I know a few of you on the line here, we've had issues with, oh, Java is not current. Oh, I need to update my Java. Oh, that's not going to work. Now it's all HTML5, Fiori-like interface. And if you really pay attention, looks a lot like Analytics Cloud I've been playing with in the past few minutes. Obviously, it's Webby, so the functionalities are a bit different, but there's a lot of effort that was put into making it look like Analytics Cloud. So if you put your Webby into an Analytics Cloud catalog and you really put single sign-on between Analytics Cloud and business objects, you can clearly imagine that your end users won't see the difference. So if their launchpad is now Analytics Cloud and they open some Webbies in some cases, for end users, it's all going to look like a pure, totally harmonized solution where they can have all their reporting requirements, reporting and analytics through Analytics Cloud. One of the big pluses I find in BI 4.3, and really it's where a lot of value is going to come from an Analytics Cloud perspective with business objects, is a lot of you, we all know, we've built, if you're IT, you may have built universes for your end users, or you have built Bex queries for your end users, and they start, some of them, you get some power users that get comfortable with Webby, and they start building their reports. So it's not the real ad hoc solution that was imagined years ago, but for some power users, this is really what they use. So they start using it, they start building really complex reports, and at some point, half the logic is no longer in your universe. It's also in your web intelligence query. So how do you capitalize on that if you have other solutions? And in 4.3, that's one thing they imagine, where the web intelligence data model is actually accessed separately. So Analytics Cloud and different Webby documents can access the Webby data model separately. So you can really reuse, and this is really gives control to the power user how they want to organize their data, and then share that information to Webby, to Analytics Cloud, and really simplify the maintenance of all those business rules sometimes, even more so in the context of a transition like the one we're talking today. So now let's talk about that transition. If you have business objects today, you may not know it, so this is why I'm bringing it here today, but you can get license credits from SAP. So you need to talk to your SAP rep, or you can talk with us and we'll help you discuss with your account executive at SAP. But if you're planning on going to Analytics Cloud, you can get a credit for some of your licenses on-prem, or all of them actually. If you want to get rid of business objects and would really like to get into Analytics Cloud, you can convert your complete licenses over to business objects, to Analytics Cloud. Or in some cases, you may also want to figure, okay, Webby, I still need that. But yeah, true, all my Lumira, Explorer, and all these things I built over the years, I want to bring that over to Analytics Cloud. So you can actually downgrade your business objects license to a lower level, where it only includes Webby and Crystal Report, for example. And the savings you get, at least part of them, are carried over as payment for your Analytics Cloud contract. So there's a lot of opportunities there. It's not every day you get from SAP an option to reduce your on-premise license fees. And this is really an opportunity they give you today. So if you are evaluating that, keep in mind, have a look at where your next contract renewal period is, because that would be a great time to do the transition and start discussing with your account exec and Simplify to see how you can go over to that new solution. And something else as well, you may not have caught, but if I go back here and look at Analytics Cloud, as of very recently, the trial has gone up from 30 days to 90-day free trial. So if you want to try Analytics Cloud today and you do not have it, come here. See SAP Analytics Cloud. You'll see the link right away to get the free trial, and you'll be able to use it first 30 days. Then SAP is going to double check with you. You want to keep on using it? Yes. And you keep on using it. And one of the other very nice things about that new extended ones is that it now includes planning. So if you don't only want to do analytics, you're figuring maybe BPC could get out as well. Maybe I want to test what's possible there. Well, you have a full 90-day free trial where you can really experiment for free with the whole solution. The only thing you won't be able to do is some enterprise level integrations, but you are able to import data from BW now, and you are able to import data from a lot of other solutions, bring them over to Analytics Cloud and really experiment on what's possible there. So this brings me to the conclusion of my presentation. We've already been at it almost 50 minutes. So what should you do? So obviously, if you want to get more information, go a bit more in depth, contact us. We can help you really define a roadmap. How should you organize your upgrade? How can you minimize cost and increase value in what you're going to be doing? And this is really where we can bring value to you and your team to really figure out how Analytics Cloud can really help you realize that self-service objective you may have had in mind for years. And so contact us. You have the contact email address below, and through that, we'll gladly be answering you back and figuring out how we can help you with all of this. And so that was pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. Lauren, do we have a lot of questions that were submitted?
You know, right now, Eric, I'm looking. I don't see any yet, but sometimes people tend to ask. Oh, wait, hold on one second. Here's one. Here's a couple. The first one is, any foreseen integration with Jupyter -R-Python? Not sure what that is, but you might know.
Yeah, that's fine. Right now, I haven't heard. From a pure Analytics Cloud perspective, you can build a Python script separately and then export it and then load it back into Analytics Cloud. But I could check. I haven't looked at it recently. I don't know if there were any updates on that, but that's clearly something I can look into. Nowadays, I've actually built a small Python script recently to work a file that I was getting from elsewhere and reorganize it, and I just generated that file locally, and then Analytics Cloud was able to read it and load it.
Okay, great. Next question, does SAC have publishing capability? We're currently using BO for that purpose, hence the reason I'm asking.
Yeah, that question just came in because I actually spoke about it recently. There's a scheduling capability, and that's where publishing and scheduling, we have to be careful. When we say scheduling, we're able to send a dashboard at a certain time. It's going to take current data, send it by email as a PDF or as a link. But if you want security per user, for example, to be based in that publication, right now, Business Objects is really the go-to solution for it. Analytics Cloud will just broadcast the same information to everyone on that broadcast.
Great. When is BI 4.3 going to be available?
Yeah, so SAP officially says it's going to be released in Q2. And so if you look at your calendar, we are in Q2 2020. From what I heard through the grapevine recently, and I'm actually repeating the same sentence I said at the beginning, it's supposed to be out mid-June. So in a month, we should all have BI 4.3 and be able to really install it. And that's something else. Don't hesitate to get back to us if you'd like to get another webinar when we have 4.3 to really show that integration. I had built some things, but obviously with the beta over, I wasn't able to show it really today. So this is really something we could do.
Okay, one more question. What would you say about mobile SAC consumption via browser or iOS, Android apps?
Uh, Obviously, you need to think your dashboards a bit more if you go mobile, because obviously if you've built a dashboard that's full screen like the COVID one I showed, uh, you're going to be scrolling, or it's going to put things because you can define your dashboard as a responsive interface. The moment you put it responsive, it's just going to organize it to make it all fit one above the other on your mobile screen. Maybe not that, maybe that's not exactly what you want. If it does, great. But if you really want it to be exactly as you want on a mobile device, you need to define a format of your dashboard for each device. But the solution really helps you previewing it on screen and say, okay, this is how it's going to look on an iPhone. Oh, this is what it's going to look on an iPad, and so forth.
Okay. Another question: does SAC have integration with SharePoint like Power BI has, so we don't have to refresh Excel files from SharePoint?
Very good question. I do not know, but so that question was submitted. So I'll look, and actually I'll be able to get back to you after.
Okay. And then last question I see is Analytics Cloud available as native mobile app?
Well, yes. On iOS, there's a native mobile app, and I'm not an Android user, so I'm going to go from memory here. I think I read that there was a new Android app that was released or was going to be released soon. You'll have to check if you're Android, but iOS, yes, I've been using it for years and it works great.
Okay, cool. So those are all the questions I see right now. Do you have anything else you want to add before we end the webinar, Eric?
Yeah, something I'd put aside, figuring I wouldn't have enough time, but one of the things that's part of Business Objects and a lot of people may have invested on is Design Studio or Lumira Designer. So I was not planning on spending too much, sorry, I wanted to come here, but that's something we have some time now. So for example, if we open a demo, which uses Analytics Designer. So Analytics Designer is the Design Studio equivalent in Analytics Cloud. So when you come in here, you can now use themes. So you cannot do CSS. So anyone who does intense Design Studio, you will not have access to real CSS configuration here. If you don't know what it is, that's fine. In Analytics Designer, you have a lot of other options, among them themes, where you can really define the color scheme you want to use, and also some default integrations and the logo, things like that you want to have. So here, that's a kind of standard Analytics Designer solution where you have a few KPIs, and with the script, you can enable the user to really select what tile they actually want to see on their dashboard. So it saves what they want to see. So another user comes in, won't have the same KPI because you really give them the freedom to see what you want. And you can really integrate some pop-ups where you can go and look at your data, some additional information when you drag into it, and really build some guided interactions into your dashboards. That the story we looked at earlier, it's self-service. You're really able to go far without any scripts, any customization. But here with Application Designer, Analytics Designer, sorry, you're really able to customize it, have pop-ups, have scripts. So when you click, it does this, and it gives me another window as a pop-up here, and so forth. And I'm going to show you, if you're a Design Studio or Lumira Designer user, that's where you'll see the power you had before. Or if you're a business warehouse developer, I've been for years, I haven't really touched business objects. You've always been in BW. You may remember web application design that goes way back. So here you have all your different objects, very similar to what you have in all those tools I just mentioned. And you can literally put script close to the JavaScript at every level, so you're really able to customize it. So this is one of the things over the past years was missing in Analytics Cloud to be a really good replacement for business objects dashboards. With this now, you're able to do just about anything. Your imagination is pretty much going to be the limit, not the solution, unless you absolutely want to do CSS, which is not going to be in here. But you have everything. And this, again, nothing installed, and you want to customize something, an actual chart, well, it's still the same designer. And really keep that as the key thing to remember during the when you go to Analytics Cloud. It's all seamlessly integrated into one solution. It's not 10 different tools that were brought in on one box. It was all developed and integrated with an intuitive interface that really comes back to the same options all the time. And if we have no other questions, Lauren, I think this is going to be all for today. So I thank you all. If you have any questions, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Really do not hesitate to contact us. Need help evaluating what you have. We will gladly help you, probably remotely right now. Traveling is a bit more difficult, but the moment we can come and see you, we'll gladly do. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Take care.